How well did you sleep last night? Do you feel rested? Do you think you get enough sleep? These are questions that we probably don't even think that much about. You think it's only sleep, I'm going to catch up with it the next day. But sleep is actually more important than we realise. Why We Sleep is a book by Matthew Walker, who is a neuroscientist. Means brain scientist, alright? He likes brains, don't we all? We all like a bit of brain. Now he dedicated his research to sleep. He wanted to learn more about it. He wanted to share his findings on it, see what the real meaning of sleep is. Now I read his book because I saw him on a podcast and I thought this guy sounds fascinating. I actually want to know what he's talking about. I want to know more about this, more about sleep. And boy, the research and the discoveries and the truth is quite staggering. It all starts with why we evolved to sleep. Why do we sleep? If you go back in time, back when we were primates, if you believe that sort of thing, or even with other animals, you think sleep what does it achieve? It doesn't gain anything. You leave yourself vulnerable to other predators. You can't hunt for food in that time. What evolutionary advantage does sleep have? This is something that Matthew Walker and other people have discovered. We've got our two phases of sleep. You've got non-rapid eye movement sleep and rapid eye movement sleep. Now this can be shortened down to non-REM sleep and REM sleep. Now to simplify it for you, non-REM sleep is the sleep where you aren't dreaming, okay? It's just when you are asleep. And during this period of sleep, that is when your body repairs itself and your immune system strengthens itself. REM sleep, on the other hand, helps your mood, helps your memory, helps you learn new things. Now it is very important to get both if you want to gain the benefits of both. If you're revising for an exam, you want to get a good night of sleep after you've revised and before the day of the exam. Because when you're cramming all that information in, you need to let your brain actually take the information in properly. And it does this during your REM sleep. And on the flip side, if you've been exercising a lot and your body's feeling quite strained, quite tired, you want to get enough sleep so that you get your non-REM sleep, so that your body can repair itself and strengthen itself. Now in order to do this, I'm sorry for all you late nighters that like to stay up till 4 playing a bit of Warzone. You gotta get at least 7 hours of sleep, and you gotta do that at a reasonable time as well. 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night is key, and you want to be getting it at the same time as well, because you need to get your body into a routine. Now this is not to say that you've got to get up at 8 AM every day. Some people's body clocks are different. Some people go to bed later and wake up later. Some people go to bed a bit earlier than others and get up a bit earlier than others. But you want to get that amount of sleep, because if you fall behind on it, you feel the effects in the long run, and it's not just something you can make up the next day. Your body will have to recover from it for a longer period of time than I'll make it up the next day. Now you might think, what's the big deal? It's only a bit of sleep, my body will be fine, my memory will be fine. Well, unfortunately in the long run, it causes a lot more problems. We're talking obesity, depression, anxiety, cancer, dementia. Even things like car crashes can be caused by this lack of sleep. A more fatal accident is likely to occur from drowsy driving than drunk driving, because with drunk driving your abilities are impaired but you can still somewhat control what you're doing, whereas with drowsy driving you will just switch off and you are in no control of a vehicle. And you'll notice with old people, they kind of struggle to sleep, don't they? It's because they're just not quite built for it anymore. That's the simple non-scientific way of putting it. But as you're getting less sleep, the body can't repair itself as well as it could have. You can't remember things as well as you could have, because you're missing out on your non-REM and your REM sleep. Now let's say you're getting your 8 hours of sleep, or you're going to bed at a reasonable time, but you're not sleeping well. What could be causing it? Well, there are a number of things: caffeine, alcohol, and smoking. Other things include late naps in the day, eating late, the temperature of your room, and looking at lights. When I say looking at lights, I mean having your bright LED screen shine on your eyes. That's gonna make it harder for you to fall asleep. I don't know if you've had this yourself before, but if I'm looking at my phone late at night and the screen's a little bit brighter than it should be at least, and then you switch the lights off, you can kind of see the outline of the screen of the phone as like a black square going around your vision and stuff, because you've been looking at it for so long in a dark room, so it really stands out and it really penetrates your eyes. Now of course, temperature, it's easier to fall asleep in a cold room than a hot room. That's why they say it's good to have a bath before bed, not because it gets you warm, but because when you get out of the bath you feel cold because you've just been in something warm, so you want to get all snuggled up in your duvet. That's why it's very easy to fall asleep after having a bath. Eating late, you don't want to be eating too close to when you go to bed. You want to about an hour and a half, 2 hours before your meal and before you go to sleep, really. But that also applies to going to sleep on an empty stomach. You know, you don't want to be starving. You know, for me, I usually have my dinner around 7 p.m, but I won't go to bed until early. It's probably around midnight. That's a 5-hour gap, so I got to eat something around 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, you know, just to fill that little void. And you know, we all know how hard it is to fall asleep on an empty stomach. Now, we know about the downsides of sleep, but what about the benefits? I mean, they pretty much counteract all the downsides we said. You're less likely to get obese. You're less likely to get dementia. You're more likely to remember things. You're more likely to be in a better mood. You think when a hungover person goes to work, they ain't happy. Is it because they're hungover? No, it's because they're tired as shit. Maybe their head's hurting a bit as well, but they're tired. They need that sleep, they're moody. All they want to do is sleep, right? That's how important it is. It is also cost effective to businesses, believe it or not. A happier employee is an employee that works harder and is an employee that makes more money for the company. They're more efficient. The work is done more efficiently. It's done quicker. An employee who slept 4 hours and does an 8-hour shift is going to do less work than an employee that's slept 8 hours and is doing a 4-hour shift, because they're going to get more work done in that time. 4-hour sleep employee is just going to be thinking about, man, I want to sleep. This of course applies to things like school as well. A more well-rested student is going to be feeling more ready to go to school and work hard and remember things. And of course, as I said before, with memory, if they're getting good night's sleep, they're actually going to remember what they've learned more efficiently, better. Which is why there is actually an argument that school start times are too early. I know you think it, damn right they are. And they actually are. It's not even like school's too early, I don't want to get up that early. It is actually way too early. You're unnaturally waking up your body clock. It needs to be at a later time. 9 o'clock at the earliest would really be something more efficient. And of course, this applies to work as well. I would love that to be the case, because getting up at 5:30 for 7 a.m. deliveries just ain't the one. It really isn't. I despise it. And even if you try to go to bed early, it's impossible to really force yourself to go to bed earlier. If you're not tired, you're not tired. You have a body clock. You can try and adjust it. Obviously, if you're going to bed at 4 a.m, you can go to bed at 1 a.m. It's possible. You just got to track back a little bit. But for me personally, I can't really fall asleep before midnight unless I'm extremely exhausted from doing something else, or I've been up since, say, 7 a.m. that day. Now, if you've got bad sleep, you might have even thought about sleeping pills. Unfortunately, sleeping pills are not as good as maybe we think they are. They don't actually achieve a regular sleep. What sleeping pills do is they sedate you rather than make you sleep well, so you're actually interrupting a regular sleep pattern of your balance of non-REM sleep and REM sleep. Now, the reason I made this video is I was completely unaware of how important sleep was, and I wanted to share it with you guys. The book is very good. It's a very good read. It's an easy read. Obviously, it's quite technical at times, but he's written it in a way that's easy to understand. I mean, if you don't feel like reading the book, though, he was actually on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's where I saw him originally. So if you find that on YouTube, Matthew Walker. Really interesting fellow, and he makes it very clear how important sleep is and why it's something that's really not taken seriously and sort of abused. You know, people say I'll sleep when I'm dead, but you're actually more likely to die early if you sleep less. The more sleep you get in, the longer you're more likely to live, to be honest. Of course, I'm not trying to be a killjoy and all this. You think I'm never going to go on a late night out? You think I'm not going to, you know, get a bad night's sleep one night? Of course not. But what I have noticed is, as soon as I started reading this book, I thought, you know, I'm going to actually try and take my sleep pattern a bit more seriously. You know, we're in a lockdown. I'm not really working at the moment, but I actually make sure I go to bed between 12 and 1 every night, even if I could stay up later, even if I'm not particularly tired, and I try to get up between 9 and 10 the next day. And honestly, I do feel better. I feel like I'm definitely sleeping better. I used to wake up 10 to 15 times a night. Since I've been doing this, I don't even remember waking up that much. My sleep feels a lot deeper. My dreams are very, very vivid now, and they used to be kind of patchy. But I feel like I'm in very heavy sleeps now, and I feel like I'm actually recovered when I wake up. Of course, this is down to you. It's whatever suits you. But I mean, if you're having problems where you feel like you're not sleeping well, or you just don't feel rested, or you feel tired all the time, I would recommend fixing up your sleep. I gotta say, I feel better for doing it, and it's kind of, you know, put me on alert about all the things that could happen in the future if you neglect sleep. And I think Alzheimer's, dementia is one of the worst things you could possibly get. You know, I've seen loved ones get it, and it's horrible, and I'd hate to see that happen to anyone else. I'd hate for it to happen to me. So yeah, my message to you guys is get a good night's sleep, get a pattern going, you know, treat yourself every now and then, have a late night, go out for some drinks, go clubbing when we can, but don't neglect it all the time, because in the long run, it's just not good for you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. Sleep well.